Hey guys, I'm Chef D-Max. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today, corn pudding, a great sauce, simple and easy to make, and I'm going to show you coming up right now. Click subscribe if you're not doing that already. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and ring that bell, and I'll send you new things I have coming up. So corn pudding coming right up. Okay guys, corn pudding, what is it basically? It's basically, we're gonna take fresh summer corn here and we're gonna puree it and cook it. And what it does is it thickens up and the starch in the corn develops and cooks and gives you this creamy kind of sauce that goes well with a lot of different things. I like it with grilled mushrooms. I love it with seafood, with scallops, with salmon, with shrimp. It's great with a lot of different things. So let's get started and learn how to make it. So what we do first, we take some beautiful summer corn that we have here. Now I lay the corn down like this, and I just kind of cut it around in circles like this, you see? And I'm gonna get the corn just like this. So I'm gonna do, let's say I'm gonna do 2 ears for my pudding, and then I'll do 2 ears I could use later if I wanted to use it as my garnish for this. So the corn pudding is just a sauce. You can use it, like I said, for a lot of different things. A lot of times I like to use the corn pudding with corn too, with the whole corn to give it that body and texture. Corn in the summer, so sweet. It's amazing how the flavor, right? This is when you should be using it. Corn is one of those things. People are like, when do you use corn? Well, you use it when it's cheap. Because when it's cheap, that means it's in season. So when you see it in the store for 5 ears for $1, then you know, or 5 ears for $2, right? You know that it's in season. But because in the wintertime, they could be $1 each. So, or more even. I've seen 3 ears for $5. So you want to just make sure that you always use corn when it's in season. You guys know, because corn is a very summery thing, right? In North America, we're used to having it on the 4th of July, having it on Memorial Day, Labor Day. In Florida, we actually kick off corn earlier. It's our corn season earlier. Now, I have the corn here. What I like to do is put a little salt in it. So I'm going to put a little teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to put water. Now, I'm showing you this with waters because you can see how great it is. I'm going to take the water, I just put it to the level of my corn, right? And I'm going to put a pinch of saffron as well. So saffron, if you don't have this, it's fine. You can use smoked paprika if you want. I like paprika sometimes too because both saffron and paprika are going to give you different flavors. Saffron is very kind of floral because it is from a flower. It's the stamen of the flower. And I just want to put a tiny pinch in. I just put a little bit. You can kind of see this really tiny pinch. If you don't have saffron, you put it like a teaspoon of Hungarian paprika or smoked paprika in there. And that'll help to give you even a brighter color, all right? Now, with this, I'm going to blend this up. I'll be right back. Okay, now I just blended this really smoothly in my blender. And then I'm going to go ahead and pour it right in here like this. Okay? And then we're going to cook this down. Now, this takes probably about 4 or 5 minutes to cook down. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like as it starts to cook. So right now I've got like a whisk, and I want to kind of cook it, but I don't want to do is burn it or brown it. Okay? Well, the reason that we put the water in, the water is going to give this time for the corn to cook. Corn has natural starch in it, and that starch, when it's cooked for 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to mellow out that kind of starchy flavor that you get, right? That dry flavor, and it gets a sweet flavor comes out, and that's what you're looking to do. So as you develop those starches in there, they're going to cook together and thicken, and that's what's going to make this corn pudding is going to make it thick. So I'll just whisk this around like this, And you're gonna see, like right now, you can see how watery it is. That's why when we put the water in with the corn to puree it, it wasn't exactly, it didn't need to be a perfect measurement. It wasn't like a dessert that had to be exactly this weight of water. The water in this is a medium for us to cook. So if I put a little bit too much water, I would have to cook it a little longer to get it thicker. If I put too less water, then I would have to cook it less, right? But you want to be able to cook it for at least 8 to 10 minutes. That's gonna develop the sweetness in the corn, and it's gonna get rid of that dryness that you get from the starch itself. It's kind of like if you've ever, just like I did, taken a bite from a corn when it's raw. It's sweet and nice still, but it has that dryness it gives you from the raw starch. So you can see as it's cooking here, right? See how it thickens up a little bit? And what we want to do is keep whisking it like this until we kind of cook down this water, evaporated some of the water, and then the cornstarch itself thickens the whole thing up. So I'm going to let it kind of cook down for a second and whisk for about a minute or two, and we'll see you back in a second. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, guys, it's been about a minute or two, and you can see these beautiful bubbles like this. When I whisk it, you see the thickness now of this? It's going to get really thick, and we're just going to keep whisking it because what we don't want to do is we don't want to brown it. After the water reduces out of this, you're going to have just the corn itself, the corn paste itself, and that corn paste will eventually brown, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep this nice and bright. Well, let's take a look at the texture. Like, you see how that coats the spoon? Look how thick that is. And when this gets cold, it's even thicker. And this particular corn pudding you could use, now I want to taste the flavor. Yeah, it's very sweet now from the beautiful sweet corn. It's got wonderful perfume of saffron to it, and it's got the right amount of salt, I think. So at this point, we're pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is I'll turn it off at this point, and my corn pudding is done. Okay, you can see it's pretty thick. Now, if you wanted to serve this cold, there's a lot of different things you could do with it. You could take it and serve it almost like, what I'm going to do here is take my strainer. So I have a strainer and a little bowl here, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to put this corn pudding right in my strainer. You can see this, right? Like this. I'm doing this because I did puree really good, but we don't want any strands of our corn in this. I wouldn't say it's impurities that I'm talking about. It's kind of a textural thing. The outer parts of the corn kernels, right, can be a little bit chewy compared to the rest of this pudding is super velvety and just perfect. So what I want to do is make sure that I get every bit of that out. So what we end up with is a very luxurious puree. Now, can't help but to eat that, right? It's so good. And then with this, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, you can see how simple that is, right? Then I want to just take it and press it through here. And we get this perfect little puree of velvety, sweet summer corn. Now this you could use as a sauce if you wanted to. You could actually just put a little bit of lemon juice and olive oil in it, almost use it as like a dressing, if you will. You can see. Now you can see here when I'm doing this, you see the pulpiness from this. This is kind of the particles of the corn that maybe didn't get grated up enough, and you're going to end up with a very textural bit of corn there, which is what we're trying to get out of this. If you don't have a strainer, then you could just leave this. It's not like the flavor of this is bad or it's going to ruin the flavor of your dish. It's just going to be texturally, you might have a little bit of, a little bit of strands in there from the skin of the corn, right? Like that. So now what I do, I want to take this, okay? Now, if I wanted to taste this, yeah, what you get all the pieces of the corn skin in your in that. So this is just beautiful. Look at this puree. Just what we call corn pudding. Is it really a pudding? It doesn't have cream or egg in it, so I guess it's not really a pudding, but I like to call it a pudding because it looks to me like a pudding. So with this, I'm going to flavor it. So I like to flavor it with lemon, okay, and then extra virgin olive oil. Now, I put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil because I want that beautiful flavor of olive oil in there. Now, if you, oh, that's wonderful, just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is put some Greek yogurt here. I've got like a thicker Greek yogurt. So I'm going to put probably like a tablespoon of that in. And I'm going to go ahead and mix that in. Now the yogurt's going to give me also a little bit of acidity. And it's going to give you some freshness. Now, if you want to leave this vegan, you could just put the olive oil in there and go with that. The beautiful thing is when this thickens up, you have a really beautiful corn sauce that is going to be vegan if you want it to be. Putting the yogurt in obviously changes that, but that's fine. We're not looking to, I'm not looking to be vegan. I'm just looking to be, eat healthy. So with this, you want to get nice organic corn, if you can find that. Not using kind of these GMO corns. That's the biggest thing with corn. You want to look for a GMO-free corn. What I'm getting in this is, look at this, how perfect, right? This beautiful pudding, you see it jiggle like that? It's wonderful. I'll put it in a mason jar. I'll put this in the fridge. This is going to firm up to be almost the taste of the texture of a soft yogurt. From there, you can serve this really nice too, is with shrimp, like shrimp cocktail. You have a nice pool of the corn down, or you can dip the shrimp in it. I like also with scallops, sauteed scallops. You put a couple tablespoons of this down on the plate with a few scallops, maybe some sauteed spinach. I'm going to be making a salmon later on, I think next week or so stay tuned for that. And you'll be able to see a couple different things that I'll be doing with this. This is a pantry item. In the summertime, you got a lot of corn around. A lot of times you're cooking corn. Sometimes, you have more corn you know what to do with. Make a corn pudding. You could freeze this as well. I would freeze it without the yogurt, and you could put that in at a later time. So I would just make the corn pudding, put it in a mason jar or a plastic container that you can seal nicely, label it, put it in your freezer. It's a great base for a corn soup. So it can work for a lot of things, but you're basically preserving beautiful summer corn, and this is a great sauce. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you back in the kitchen soon. I'm Chef Dean Max.